been issued by the courts, the next point of action would be for the Parliament, as the Electoral Commission of Jamaica would not be receiving any directives from the court, but through the Parliament, would forward said ruling for the attention of the ECJ in respect of continuing the process of making Portmore the 15th parish of Jamaica.
Is there an agenda for today's meeting?
Member Jackson.
Thank you. So inquiring, is there an agenda for today's meeting?
Yes,
I
removed the document from your decks. An email was sent out. I wanted to make an adjustment or correction to a note on the agenda. And we also took a little bit of time to photocopy some of the documents that would go along with the court ruling, which I'm sure the ECJ would have, but for proper process and due order to send it to the ECJ from our committee.
So just for clarification, the agenda will be recirculated?
Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. That's it. So, members, Thank you for your patience, members. Just resending for printing. All right. So members, I can almost read out what they... No. They're printing the agenda or sent it out by email as well. So the only edit being made to the agenda is matters for discussion. This section is quoted, section 67.3 of the Constitution, and it is updated to indicate definitively what is being done, which is submitting the provision of information stemming from the ruling of the Supreme Court regarding the commencement of the process of making Portmore the 15th parish of Jamaica. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica is hereby required to follow the provisions of the Constitution accordingly in this respect. So the only thing the committee would be doing today is forwarding the ruling of the Supreme Court, and the Electoral Commission takes the issue from there.
I think we have to go a little bit more than that. Was the bill that was passed in Parliament forwarded to Electoral Commission? I don't think so. So it means that we will now have to direct that bill and the map with the boundary be forwarded to them with necessary instructions, not just a ruling. Because a ruling must be based on something. So we will have to forward that to them, I believe, and make the necessary recommendation to them, I believe.
My colleague is insisting that we acknowledge that it's an act, it's no longer a bill. Yeah, sure.
So, Madam Chair, it would be a matter of procedure, therefore, but the substantive responsibility of the Boundaries Committee would, in fact, have access through the regulations as it relates to what our functions are. And our function does not include necessarily that we do that. That's a function of the Parliament. What we can ensure is that the Parliament does, in fact, execute according to its mandate.
Well, Madam Chair, there are another reasons why I'd inquired about the agenda is the one that was circulated. I realized that there was no minutes reference for this meeting, minutes of the last meeting of the committee, and I'm making inquiries about that.
I had made inquiries, and they have not been able to locate the minutes of the last meeting. I'm not so sure how long ago that was. I believe it is before my time. I would have not been chair of the committee at the time. Parliament is hunting for it, Member Jackson.
Still the government. Government is continuous. Doesn't stop with one administration.
Chairman.
Madam Chair, I'd like to suggest that this committee is meeting for the first time in this cycle, so therefore the issue of minutes would not obtain as it relates to the last meeting of this committee, since in fact it is the first committee meeting of this constituted body. May it please you?
No.
It is required under Section 67 that a electoral boundary committee be established immediately after a general election. This committee has not met since the establishment. The last time this committee met to deal with constituencies was prior to 2011. A committee met was prior to 2011, when we created then the South Central, St. Catherine, East Central, St. Catherine, and what have you, and Central St. James. It was prior to 2011. We met after that, but that was a recommendation from the Electoral Commission to realign constituents because of Mr. Fisher claimed then that some of these constituencies went over parish boundaries. Yes. And he could not prove in this committee, you were in the meeting also, could not prove in this committee that what he was recommended and the boundaries for those constituents, he couldn't prove the validity. Yes. So the committee ended then, no decision was taken because the recommendation that he wanted could not be substantiated by him or electoral committee. So the real meeting of a committee was prior to 2011. Because there's no reason to meet. The issue, as the Constitution says, it's supposed to meet minimum 4 years after the last boundary changes were done, or the maximum of 6 years. We have not looked at any constituent boundaries prior to 2011.
Let me just defer to the AG for a moment, if you don't mind, Member Jackson. Let me just defer to the Attorney General for a moment, if you don't mind.
Clarify the point, Chair. It is the relevant section is section 67, subsection.
Hold the mic closer.
I'm terribly sorry.
No. Just hold it closely.
Section 67, subsection 1 of the Constitution. I'll just truncate a little bit to make sense. As soon as practicable after the House of Representatives first meet following any general election. So that clarifies the point. This is where it meets. The reference that your last member spoke about 4 years. The reference that the other member made about a four-year minimum and a 6-year maximum is for subsequent meetings of the committee, not any meeting, subsequent meetings. So once you've had after you've given the report. So if you give a report, then you cannot do it further than 6 years or less than 4 years after you've given the report.
Madam, this is not a...
You may go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is not a contentious issue, you know. I just need it to be guided.
Absolutely not, Member Jackson.
Let me just say, I just need it to be guided, and as was indicated, this is the first time that the committee is being convened since the last since the Parliament came into being. And I just wanted to have that clarification, given that I am a designated member of the committee too. And secondly, for the purpose of continuity, because even though administrations change and we have a renewal of Parliament at each electoral cycle, the records of the Parliament remains the records of the Parliament. And so all I was inquiring about when I asked about the minutes is so that I can advise myself, being here for the first time since the committee's meeting, as to the last set of matters that the committee dealt with. That's all.
So Member Jackson, I had done the same because it would be the first time that I'm chairing the committee. The minutes of the previous meeting would not relate to the current meeting, in that the report from the committee would have sealed the discussions and deliberations at that time. But I asked because I was just interested in reading. So what I will also do is have the Parliament take a look at reports from committees as another place to search, so that we can find the reports and, if not, get some details as to what would have been the minutes and what would have been discussed at the time, just for edification.
On this, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
And in the search being done, we'll just provide a copy of the last
Absolutely.
report that was submitted from the committee
Absolutely.
that last met.
So, Chair, the matter being not a contentious one, it shouldn't detain us too much.
No, I just wanted to do some circulation because we didn't have adequate copies. This was a
Chair,
map.
just for good order, if the member is requesting that a set of minutes from a previous committee be made available to us for a future date, that can be entertained. But insofar as this meeting is concerned,
for this meeting,
exactly.
member Bartlett, but it was never.
Never prepared.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that it was for this meeting.
He has a
Member
disposition,
Jackson,
though, to think that I'm unreasonable.
Member Jackson, today we're in a wonderful spirit. So I didn't get that sense. I don't remember Jackson. I literally just wanted it to, to have an appreciation of the type of discourse.
But note that it is part of his mischievous disposition. That's for the record.
All right, members. So I will ask that, as is customary and required, that the members, unless you have any objections, we would pass to the Electoral Commission of Jamaica a copy of the ruling along with a copy of the Act as passed by Parliament for their deliberations and their observations and their ultimate process. We in this committee would not be engaging in anything other than to pass or submit the information down the chain. Do you so move?
Along with the boundaries, not just the act, but the boundary also.
Yes, I have what
And
was
the issue is the issue is that there are two other copies here in color.
So members, let me just hold them up. Member Warmington is being very challenging.
Not challenging.
This document in black and white is the document of the map of the parish along with the boundaries circulating in the Parliament, but it is not as clear. This colored map is the exact same map, and you may take a look at them and match them. This, yes, so both will go, both the one attached to the bill or the act and the updated colorful copy.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
But the issue,
and it also has attached to it an environmental
so Portmore.
Yes, so Portmore and its environs.
Yeah, that was done by the National Land Agency, and it shows the toll road. That's the boundary of the parish. And this one is the one that's in the bill, but that one is not blown up, and it's in black and white and how to be read. And this is what went to be in the bill. And it's clearer than what you have there.
Yes, you're reiterating what I said, Member Warmington, that it's clearer, and we're sending both the unclear copy and the clearer copy, so that there is no challenge.
And my understanding is from what is in the Act that affects 3 constituencies.
Member Warmington, I do not want to have any understanding
yes.
or go down that road. Our job is to pass the bill, the Act,
Is there a reason why
along
I said that,
with...
you know?
No, Member Warmington, I am not going there with you. I'm not going there with you.
I'm not going anywhere, so can you be going with me?
I'm not going there, Member Robinson.
I just want clarity, Madam Chair, and we have the AG and the SG. In keeping with Section 67.3 of the Constitution, is the committee's mandate today only to pass the information from the ruling, and we are not commencing a review of boundaries?
I would want to make that answer very clear. I do not think we need to go any deeper, Member Robinson. Respectfully, the chair actually adjusted the agenda to make sure it is documented that that is what we are doing today. We are not having any boundary discussion.
Okay.
We are just passing the ruling as it relates to establishing the parish and nothing else.
Thank you very much, Madam
And that
Chair.
is very clear. So members, Member Warmington, I do not want to deliberate on it any further. I would like you to put it to a vote unless you have an objection to us passing it. I do not want our meeting to descend into a contentious one. So members, Jesus, point of order. Tell the member to turn off yours. No, you may ask him kindly. Member Jackson, would you be so nice as to please turn your mic off? Thank you.
All right, he has. Madam Chairman, I would go further than that, you know, than just to... Madam Chairman, I'll go further than that, you know, to pass the Act and the boundaries to the Electoral Commission for them to do. I think we should add on that, to that recommendation to them, that this be included in the voters list coming in May. They be considered as part of that voters list in May. Until that is done, this is of no use. So we should add that to the recommendation. So I'm asking for amendment to what you just said, to add that to it.
Yes, Chairman, this particular...
Member Warmington, turn your mic off, please.
Sorry.
This particular sitting of the committee is deliberating on a matter that is unprecedented in our history, in fact, in recent. Certainly, we've never had a situation where a new parish has been established, certainly in my lifetime, and certainly in my 38 years in this honorable house. Therefore, there's no precedent. And the Parliament having passed the bill and the Act having now been in a position to be fully implemented, we have one responsibility, and that is to forward the Act to the relevant AOJ who has that responsibility and to whom we have arrogated the right to deal with boundaries and delegated in order for us at a later date to approve. And that the simple matter, therefore, is for us to do so and to offer them a timeline to enable them to complete in reasonable time so we can deal with the matter appropriately. May it please you. Member Jackson, after which I will just ask, because
I want to be abundantly clear as to the call of each member. So I will just put it to a vote. Members, Member Jackson.
Yes, not to do with that, but the related subject of what is being referred to the ECJ, and in particular the Electoral Office itself. We have the benefit of the AG in our midst. Very unusual. I'm honored to be sitting in the same chamber with the AG. But there is on the matter that is being referred to the ECJ, there was a comment made or attributed to the AG that I would like to benefit a little clarification regarding the court ruling that we are acting on. That the ruling, the order that was handed down by the Supreme Court, just for my edification, was there a lifting? Was there a lifting of the injunction?
Temporary injunction.
Yes. Was there a lifting of an injunction by the court?
Yes.
But I ask you that because my understanding is that the injunction that was issued prior to had expired upon that hearing.
Yes.
So if it expired, it couldn't have been lifted.
Hold on a moment. Hold on a minute. AG, would you be so kind, turn your mic on again, please?
Thanks. I'm very good. What we have here is an undertaking by the minister to ensure that the constitutional process is followed. There's no injunction preventing anything, and it would probably a little bit eccentric, perhaps, for a court to want to give that type of injunction for a longer on man time. But the minister's undertaking to the court is that before he exercises the power given to him by the statute, he will ensure that the constitutional requirements are carried out. It might be useful to say that this function of determining constituencies, or the number of them, and the boundary of them resides in your parliament. It doesn't reside in anybody else. I know we're all very proud of the Electoral Commission, and we attribute to them all sorts of responsibilities. But the Commission's responsibility is just to advise first this committee, and this committee will then recommend to Parliament. So the function, I make the point that you're deferring so often to the Electoral Commission, but you defer to it to advise you, and you will accept or reject the advice it gives. The Parliament makes the decision as to what the boundaries are.
I just want to follow up with the AG. I fully appreciate the latter point you made regarding the authority of the ECJ vis-a-vis the Committee of Parliament and the full Parliament. I just want to clarify about this lifting of injunction, that there was no injunction to be lifted because it had expired. And what happened, as you said, is that the court issued an order requiring the unconditional or unequivocal compliance.
The language of the thing. It's a consent order. The parties agreed to it.
No, I'm clear now.
The consent order is the minister has a power under the statute to designate the date the statute takes effect. And he has undertaken not to designate a date until he ensures that the constitutional process takes place.
Okay.
Which means that this committee must make its recommendation as to how many constituencies it needs and how many.
Sure.
And will advise the appropriate office, the minister in charge of the elections, and of course, advise
AG, I missed this committee must make. Could you repeat?
I'm saying this committee has a responsibility to advise on the numbers and on the boundaries of the Constitution. It is its decision. No other body has that. In doing so, it acts on advice. It acts on advice of obviously its members. It acts on advice of the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission function is to advise you. And then you accept or reject it. And this committee, of course, will make a recommendation to its Parliament, which may or not accept what you say. Parliament can change the recommendation you make.
Thank you very much, AG. So I will now put it to the vote that we pass the information. I do not take Member Warmington's point that, Member Warmington, please, that we insist on certain considerations. However, I would want us to incorporate in our vote so that timelines are important and set, that they return to us by May 31st, an indication of what they've decided and exactly what they're doing. So as a parliament, we are informed and we move forward from there. So we would ask that the ECJ return to us by May 31st. Let me go over. We will submit a copy of the court ruling. We will submit the copies of the administrative boundary that would have been attached to the act, both the not so clear copy and a clear copy, and the Portmore and Environs document. Members, I'm hearing a lot of talking. I'm moving first to vote. Please, no, I am putting it to a vote.
Thank you.
Member Hilton, I am just reiterating, we are forwarding the ruling of the court. That's what we're forwarding. Yeah. We're forwarding a copy of what would have been attached to the act and the act from Parliament. We are forwarding a copy that is a little clearer in terms of color of the exact document. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I've added to what I've been reiterating is taking into consideration the comment of Member Warmington in terms of getting a feel for time, not to insist on his statement, I won't even repeat it, but to ask that time be considered and it is not just, and it is not languishing forever, that they return to us by the 31st of May with an indication with where they are, what is the final.
With an update.
With an update. On or before the 31st. So we're just setting a timeline to say, look, by the 31st of May, they would have come back to us at the very latest. Members, I'm asking you to now put it to a vote. Members, aye. Member Hilton, aye. Member Fitzjackson, Robinson, Member Davis, Member Warmington, Member Warmington, Member Warmington, Member Warmington. On or before, so it allows. Members, so on or before May 31st, it can come in a week. It can come May 31st. Members, by unanimous support, we will proceed with passing the required and relevant information onto the ECJ for their consideration and advice. Members, I agree with Member Bartlett, our House Leader in Parliament, that it is indeed an unprecedented time, and it feels wonderful to be a part of the House of Parliament when these types of amendments, changes in our landscape, our legislative landscape, takes place. To be here when we are on the cusp of coming to having a 15th parish named in Jamaica. Yes. I know. Well, I still thank you. Oh, gosh. Thank you. Are there any other business?
I beg to move that the meeting be adjourned for a date to be fixed.
So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Davis. Members, thank you very much. This is one of the best meetings I've had with Member Warmington.
The new $500 note. The new $1,000 note. The new $2,000 note. The new $5,000 note. Jamaica's new banknotes, modern, more secure, and made to last.
We know you want better roads in your towns and communities. That is why through the SPARK program, your government is allocating over $40 billion over 2 years to fix your community and rural roads. $20 billion will go towards fixing smaller roads in every area, with $150 million allocated per area. The remaining funds will be distributed based on road length and condition, ensuring areas with greater need receive more assistance. Your government is caring for you.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
What can a little germs do?
Pink eye running belly, even flu. Germs can make them happen to you.
Put germs on our manners with these. Cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. Always wash your hand with water and soap. Keep dirty hands from your eyes and your nose and your mouth. You don't want to be sick, take care. Practice every day, no germs around here.
A message from the Ministry of Health.
Jamaica has more than 28 species of birds, land snails, reptiles, amphibians, and hundreds of flowering plants that are only found in Jamaica. I am Marlon Samuels. Join me to learn more about Jamaica's native and endemic flora and fauna.
Know your natives and endemics. Sundays at 11:15 a.m. exclusively on PBCJ, the People's Station.
It's Tuesday, April 1. In the headlines, National Water Commission extends amnesty program. In business news, we discuss the women's fair pay issue, plus we have our usual updates on the financial market. Regionally, St. Lucia's investment minister responds to new European Union's CBI rules. And in sports, cricket news, Craig Brathwaite steps down as Test captain. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The National Water Commission